I really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like, everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
The room was already thick with tension before Iman Shumpert even opened his mouth. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but the energy was undeniable. You could feel it through every hushed whisper, every click of a reporter's pen at the back of the courtroom, and every nervous glance exchanged between lawyers. This wasn't just another custody hearing. It felt like a battle between love, pain, and pride. And when Iman finally snapped, the words that exploded from his chest weren't just loud, they pierced through every single person sitting in that courtroom. "I want my kids, not the circus," he shouted, his voice echoing off the wooden walls. It wasn't just a statement. It was a confession, a plea, and an explosion all at once. For a moment, silence fell so heavily it seemed as though even the walls were holding their breath. But moments like that never come out of nowhere. They are built slowly, over months, sometimes even years of heartbreak, resentment, and wounds that never fully healed. From the second Iman walked into that courtroom, anyone watching could tell he wasn't there to play games. He looked worn down, his jaw tight, his eyes dark with frustration. This wasn't the confident athlete fans remembered from the NBA, nor the charming partner who once walked red carpets hand in hand with Tiana Taylor. This was a man stripped of his armor, left with nothing but raw emotion and fear. Sitting across from him was Tiana, composed, stylish even in such a grim setting, her face unreadable. She wasn't about to let anyone, not the public, not the judge, and especially not Iman, see her break. Her lawyers opened the day with calm precision. Their words were clinical, sharp, and carefully measured. They painted Iman as inconsistent. They said the children needed stability, routine, and someone who could provide consistency day after day. They hinted at late nights, missed school pickups, and the kind of distractions that come with fame. To anyone listening, the message was clear. Tiana was the anchor, and Iman was the storm. But if you knew their history, you knew Iman had always taken immense pride in being a father. Whatever mistakes he made as a husband, he never failed to say that his role as a dad came first. To sit there and hear lawyers reduce him to an absent, unreliable figure, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire already threatening to consume him. His fists clenched, his leg bounced uncontrollably under the table, and his breathing grew heavier with every word. Everyone in the room could see it. The breaking point was coming. When Iman finally spoke, he didn't bother with carefully rehearsed speeches. At first, his voice was steady but strained. He admitted he wasn't perfect. He admitted there were nights he couldn't be everywhere at once. But then, the dam broke. He slammed his palm against the table with a crack that made people jump in their seats. His voice cracked as he shouted, "I'm sick of being painted like I don't care about my own children. I want my kids, not this circus you've turned our lives into." Gasps rippled across the courtroom. Even the judge leaned back, startled by the force of his words. The bailiff stepped forward slightly, ready to intervene if things escalated further. Across the room, Tiana sat perfectly still, her eyes locked on him, her lips pressed into a thin, cold line. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. If anything, her silence screamed louder than any words could have. The judge raised his hand, sternly, reminding Iman that emotional explosions had no place in a courtroom. But the damage, or perhaps the impact, was already done. Reporters scribbled furiously, crafting headlines in their heads. Iman Shumpert loses control in court. In the back row, Tiana's mother shook her head in disappointment. To her, this wasn't passion, it was proof of everything she'd been saying for months, that Iman was unraveling. But behind that outburst was years of history. Years of love, betrayal, joy, and heartbreak. Because Iman wasn't always this broken man fighting desperately for custody. Once upon a time, he was the doting dad, the husband who bragged about his family on social media. There are countless photos and videos of him beaming as he held his daughters, celebrating milestones, building memories that people envied. To him, fatherhood had always been his proudest achievement. So what went wrong? That's where it gets messy. Fame crept in, arguments grew louder, pride got in the way, and mistakes piled up on both sides. Nights that should have been filled with love and laughter turned into bitter silence or shouting matches behind closed doors. Rumors circulated, tempers flared, and slowly but surely, the cracks widened. Somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, the children became collateral damage. That's why this courtroom battle wasn't just about paperwork. It was about everything they had lost along the way. At one point, Iman turned directly toward Tiana. His voice softened, breaking with something more vulnerable. "Do you really believe I don't love them? Do you honestly think I'm the enemy?" He asked, not as a defendant, not as her ex, but as the father of her children. For a brief moment, something flickered in Tiana's eyes, pain, maybe even guilt. But just as quickly, she lowered her gaze and let her lawyer speak for her. Whatever emotion she felt, she wasn't going to let it show here. The courtroom felt suffocating in that moment, like everyone was intruding on a wound too raw to witness. The judge finally called for a recess, urging both sides to remember the focus needed to remain on the children, not their personal vendettas. Lawyers shuffled papers, reporters rushed out to send their updates, and Iman sank into his seat, burying his face in his hands. Outside, the circus was already in full swing. Paparazzi swarmed the courthouse doors, eager for reactions. Within minutes of the outburst, someone leaked details from inside. Clips of Iman's voice shouting for his kids echoed across social media. By the end of the day, Twitter had already split in two. Some praised him, saying his outburst was proof of genuine love, a raw, unfiltered expression of a father desperate not to lose his children. Others criticized him, arguing that the meltdown showed instability and could hurt him in the custody fight. Hashtags trended within hours. Hashtag Iman in court. Hashtag protect the kids. Hashtag TNAvsIman.Tyana remained silent. No cryptic posts, no subtweets, no interviews, just silence. But her silence spoke volumes, and the world read into it whatever narrative they chose. Iman's team, on the other hand, quickly issued a statement, insisting that his words only came from the heart. They said his emotions were proof of how much he valued his children. Still, the moment lingered. The judge had yet to make a ruling, but one thing was clear: the court of public opinion had already begun passing judgment. The painful truth is that no matter which side you choose, watching two people who once loved each other tear each other apart is devastating. These aren't just celebrities making headlines, they're parents. And every word, every tear, every explosion leaves scars not just on their reputations but on their children's lives. That's why this story cuts deeper than just another celebrity drama. Strip away the flashing cameras, the social media noise, and the gossip blogs, and what you're left with are children caught in the middle, silently begging for peace. Kids don't care about reputations, PR wars, or who wins in court. They just want laughter back in their home. They want love instead of bitterness. Iman's outburst might have shocked the world, but to those who know him, it was the cry of a father afraid of being erased, afraid that the bond he built with his daughters could be broken beyond repair. To some, it looked unhinged. To others, it looked like raw love pushed past its breaking point. But if you look closer, what you see is fear, the kind of fear that grips any parent when they feel the ground slipping beneath them. And that's where things get complicated. Because whether you see Iman's explosion as passion or instability, one truth remains: the damage is stacking up. Words shouted in anger can't be unsaid. Public battles like this leave wounds that don't fade when the headlines die down. Every time one of them makes a move, it's the children who are left to pick up the pieces. The real question isn't just who will win this fight. It's how much will be lost before it's over: the trust, the peace, the sense of safety their kids once had. Because in the end, when the dust finally settles, what might remain isn't victory but ashes.